Hello, I'm Peter Schibli from BluChip. I'm a recruiter myself, and I lead the recruiter and talent acquisition relationships team at BluChip. I'm thrilled to be speaking with Lorne Segall. Lorne is the talent acquisition director at Octagon, one of the world's leading sports agencies.
Thanks for the intro. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here, share what I can. As you can imagine, there's always a large interest in a career after you hang up the cleats for student athletes to looking to transition to something that they know. So really excited to share what that means holistically and what Octagon could potentially be as a resource for them in their next chapter. So like you mentioned, Peter, Octagon's been around and really a pioneer in the sports entertainment and culture industry going on, I think 40 years now. Really a pioneer in the sense of really bringing the concept of merging brands with sports and that audience together, and how brands can use the platform of sports, entertainment, music, culture, culinary, and the like to amplify their brand messaging to a really particular audience, and that audience being the sports fan, the avid fan, the casual fan, the local fan, really a profile that has a lot of crossover for a lot of different types of brands.
Give us a broad overview of the sports marketing industry. We chatted the other day, and you were interested to help us break down the categories of the business.
There's really kind of three verticals that immediately come to mind. One is inside sales. So if we're talking really low barrier to entry, really great training, inside sales would be working at your local teams, professional, semi-pro, any kind of team, in ticket sales, really understanding the business. One of the main drivers of revenue within our business is butts in the seats, right? It's a product. It's a TV product. It's an event product. That's a really, really great opportunity to learn how to sell, to build relationships, to understand the mechanics of what the product looks like. The other is account management, client services, really kind of jack of all trade, project management skills, presentations in PowerPoint, Excel, research, client leadership, things of that nature. And that role as an account manager, client service kind of takes on different iterations in your career, depending where you're doing it. But it's a pretty important function within our business. The other is events. Again, it's an event business. Putting on the events, putting on ancillary programming around sporting events, meaning the hospitality tents, the tailgates, the pre-games, the meet and greets, the community relations aspect of going out into the community and doing food drives with your local athletes. Like, that's all event and project focused. So those are tend to be three entry level, lowest barrier to entry, I would say, paths to get in the door at a large chunk of organizations.
It's a very competitive market, and you use the phrase low barrier to entry, we all know what that really means. It's still hyper competitive.
Absolutely.
It's somebody in your role. Would you advise a student to try to join a larger company first, or a smaller company first, or somewhere in between, or doesn't it really matter? I mean, what's the best way to get trained up here?
Being the bigger fish in the smaller pond, meaning being able to be a lot closer to key decision leaders, have my voice heard as a young professional, to really kind of see the ins and outs and be close to that was more beneficial for me and my personality. If I can use the analogy of being an athlete, what is the position that you are going to play on the floor? It's okay that if it takes you time to figure that out, And I would encourage people to always say yes and to try different roles, to really feel what it's like to be in that position, to understand the data point, to understand what it's like to play an off position one day so you can come in as a backup. For me, that holistic thinking and education is really important for someone to have sustained success in this business. If someone is one track minded, I'm only going to hit bombs. I'm only going to hit. I'm not going to practice on my short game. I'm only going to practice my serving. I'm not going to be good at anything else. It's not going to last.
Yeah.
So there's really got to be a 360 encompassing view of how my role fits into the bigger team, the bigger picture, the bigger industry. That's the type of mentality I think that really is going to.
You used 360, and I had head on a swivel on my mind. I think the takeaway that I'm hearing is it's so important for at this stage in your career, the beginning stage, that you really just soak up as much as you can. Keep your eyes and ears open. Focus, obviously, on the task at hand, and take every opportunity within the structure, whether it's large or small corporate structure.
Yeah. Plan an event, close a deal that I can trust you to do that. And one of those things of ammunition is your passion. Do you have the technical skills? Do you have the training? Do you have the confidence? Do you have the charisma? Do you have the communication skills? Do you have the writing skills? Do you have the analytical skills? These are all skills that can be practiced in the classroom, in group projects, in student leadership, with coaches, with tutors, with teachers. Nothing that I said there is really unique to working at a sports organization as an internship or as a first role.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a piece that gets lost that I hope, really is front and center as to what in my role, what I look for. I need to see those. I want to see those basics.
Thanks, Lorne. All excellent points. Let's get a little bit more granular then. So let's move to the idea of controllable factors for student athletes. What can you do? What is in your purview as a student athlete preparing yourself for the professional world?
Yeah. So very good question. I think the analogy here, which is something that a lot of student athletes will understand, is the film study. And what do I mean by that? Someone who's done the homework to understand who they're talking with, person to person.
Yeah.
But also who's done the homework on the scheme, the organization that's behind that person. So that to me is something that is not education bound. That's effort bound. That is something that you can do if you know where to look. And again, part of the reason why BluChip exists is to culminate that and bring that together in one resource, right?
I think you're right. And I think what you're saying is there's just an endless amount of resources available to you now. And, if you don't mind me adding a comment from my perspective as a recruiter, the interview process is unnatural, right? But I mean, some people love to talk about themselves, but for most of us, it's it's a stressful hour or two or three or five even in a day. So that, I always try to tell candidates, and I think this applies to junior, mid-level, and very senior candidates, it's you and that other person or that other team of people. And it's your chance to be genuine and to engage and turn that awkward situation into something that's a really productive conversation. And if you come in armed with, questions and understandings of certain facets of the business, but maybe also things that you really don't understand, you can have a list of these questions ready and be prepared to discuss. And all of a sudden the interview becomes a really in-depth conversation.
I think the best interviews are conversations. They're not interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to your point, this is an area, the sports business is an area of in the trenches. And team and camaraderie goes a very long way. And that's not to say that everyone's got to be hoorah and everyone's got to be that alpha, because we've all been in locker rooms where that's not the case, right? Yeah. There is a foil and a balance that is required within these teams. But I think, like you said, and I hope it doesn't get lost, this is a people business, and you're going to be working with these people if you want this to be your job. Over, you're going to be, instead of watching NBA Thanksgiving or NFL on Thanksgiving, you're going to be working on Thanksgiving. So you're going to be with your work family as opposed to your actual family.
Yeah.
And you got to like these people. And a large part of that is being yourself. And I know that sounds cliche, and I know it sounds corny, but having the confidence in yourself of what you can deliver as a former student, like, it's that same. You have that confidence as soon as you step on the floor, you know what you're capable of. That is the same thing in an interview. You can feel it. I don't see it. It's not on SportsCenter, but I can feel it, where maybe you got the answer wrong, but you knew that your process to get there was right.
That's
at the entry level. That's all I'm asking.
That's exactly. I'm so glad you said that. That is. I just want to reinforce that. Try to be right, but don't worry if you're not. It's the process of how you got to your answer, or got to your question, that at this level is the most important.
Yeah.
Let's have a little fun for a minute or two with some of the immediate, controls, like, some of the things that might sound incredibly redundant, but yet you and I see them every day. Start with the resume. What's something that has to be 100% pure all the time?
Spelling and grammar.
Right. And why is that?
I can't say that any other way.
It's the end of the lesson. Exactly. Yeah.
Look, but Pete, like, again, let's frame it up, right? Like, I'm hiring you in my line of work. I'm putting you in front of brands who are looking to you to come up with really creative marketing campaigns. And depending on what you're working on here at Octagon, to have that promoted in arenas, this content or those billboards or these pieces of marketing materials on digital and social websites, like, they're asking for you to proofread that on behalf of them. If you can't proofread a document that is supposed to be the one and only first chance, only chance document that is the make or break of your career, if you can't trust your own self with that, how can I trust you with my business?
I agree, and you can say it over and over again, but you can't emphasize the importance of it. What about this is something that I really think is important too. You're a really busy person, and you're dealing with, I'm guessing, thousands of applicants and daily business functions, and you're getting incoming emails and incoming solicitations from potential candidates who you don't know, and I'm assuming that happens by very high numbers. It's probably impossible for you to respond to cold emails, at least on a regular basis. So what's a piece of advice you could give somebody who's lobbing in an email to Octagon who doesn't know anybody? How can they help their chances of getting somebody's attention? It's probably not on that first email or first cold call. What do you think?
Most likely not. The tip that I would always start with is, again, it's the film study. So who are you trying to get in contact with and why? You got to understand the objective behind who you're reaching out to, not just, hey, I want to network. Anytime I see an email that comes across, hey, Lorne, I want to network with you. I know you do, but let's be a little bit more creative, thoughtful. Like, tell me why. What do I have that you want? What do you want to share with me that you think I want to hear? But even before we get to that, I leave personal nuggets on my online profile of my areas of interest where I've been at school. Those are the nuggets that I'm looking for someone to find commonality with so that they can build a relationship based on genuine interests and passions before profession. So, in terms of where this audience can start, look at alumni bases, look at your current athletic administration, family and friends, like target organizations that you want to work for and work backwards. See who's connected to those. See if there's examples of alumni from your current school who work at. The reason I say that, those people are the ones who are more likely to respond because they have that ingrained kind of two-way already relationship with you, even though you've never met the person. You have something in common. So that's one. And definitely means of kind of filtering out above. It's also a really good signal, right? You've taken the time to do homework and not send me a template email that you sent to 50 other organizations or 50 other people. You have to make the audience that you're sending something to feel something, feel intent, feel the passion, feel the research. That's how you get set. That you'd be shocked, Pete. And well, you wouldn't be shocked. This audience would be shocked at the ease of which and how quickly you can discern that by reading something that's coming across your desk cold.
These student athletes are going to be doing this on a volume basis, or they should be doing this on a volume basis to try to better their chances to get hired. But so it's a really fine balance of having to do that, but personalize it. And, I just have to ask, can you identify somebody's AI letter versus a personal letter?
It's a quick, can I catch you in it after the fact?
Yeah.
So there have been times where we've caught someone who in the interview process has leveraged AI to respond to, an assignment or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very clear as soon as you get pressed, hey, what was your methodology or your thought process behind it? They freeze.
Lorne, thank you. Those are terrific points. I wanted to just spend a couple more minutes on, back to substance and what student athletes could possibly uncover in their current situations in school that can help them build their resume. We were talking about the fact that it's very difficult sometimes or oftentimes for student athletes to secure summer internships or even during in-school internships because it's just a time commitment which is crazy. We all know that. However, we were kind of kicking around the other idea. Let's just pick a large school, for example, Ohio State. If you're an athlete at Ohio State, you have access to the athletic department. You have access to trainers. You have access to administrators, probably the athletic director in some way, shape, or form. You probably could spend an hour or 5 learning all the things that are involved in putting on an Ohio State-Michigan football game, which involves endless amounts of branding, advertising, and all these kinds of things. I think there's an open-ended question, but my point is there are resources immediately available to you to be able to fortify your experience.
There is across the board, events, promotions, athletic departments, really kind of understanding and going up to those leaders in your school, trying to get a good understanding of how they're selling your offering as student athletes. How are they promoting your events? Who's putting them on? What does that look like? I think these are all really, really in your backyard, really easy opportunities for someone to get involved and to be worked around your schedule. Quite frankly, because again, depending on the size of your school, there's different sports that are in different seasons. So it's definitely something that you can get involved with. Looking at clubs, looking at student leadership opportunities, should it make sense with your schedule, to try and take on some event planning responsibilities or budgeting responsibilities for your fraternity, the social committee for the team, or things of that nature. Will just give you a little bit of reps that you can talk to with confidence. Like, I've tried this, and it's something that, even though I'm busy, it showed time management, that I can do it and that I was willing to try, and is something that is in your control.
Lorne, thank you. This has been a really beneficial conversation for us here at BluChip, and I'm assuming very much so for the student athlete community that we're involved with. So, some thematic takeaways here. Sports marketing is a very broad business. There's a lot of opportunity. It's very competitive, and people have to put their best foot forward in the same way that they would in any other industry in order to break in. Secondly, I'm hearing the opportunity to shape and hone your business skills along the way, whether that's through coursework or any sort of voluntary action that student athletes could take as it relates to marketing or sales, or digital media, just to be able to chip away at some of these things along the way in your current environment. And then lastly, all of these institutions, these schools, whether they're large or small, have great infrastructure that can be a resource for learning. That includes, being involved in the athletic department, or being involved in conversations with the CFO of the athletic department, whatever it may be. Create scenarios for yourself in school, while you're working, while you're playing, that you can manage from a time perspective to fortify your background. These are the themes I'm hearing, and I want to thank you again. I hope we have a chance to have you back.
Would be an honor and a pleasure. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, BluChip. Thanks for everything, guys. Best of luck. Really happy to be here. Always happy to be a resource.